I'm going to read this evening the coda of a novel I've been working on for some time. The title of the novel is Shout Rumblin', His Sensations and Ideas, and some of you will probably recognize the subtitle as stolen from Walter Pater's Marius the Epicurean. Shout Rumblin' is a young man from a city in the Midwest, and it's a story about fatherhood, basically, or about the relation of a father and a son. The relationship is somewhat transgressive. From the age of 15 on, Shout has a sexual affair with his father. He also has a black lover in New York at the same time, and whom he's had to kind of explain this relationship to, who is by turns disbelieving, believing, critical, accepting, and all sorts of other things. However, this last part, Shout's father, Buck, gets to talk basically to the reader, but he does it by basically something he says to Shout, which Shout then recounts to Adrian, his lover in New York, but you get it in Buck's words pretty much directly, and this is the coda to Shout Rumblin'. You know, Buck laughed and said, "This is something I used to think about a long time ago, Shoat. I mean, before I even met your mama. See, the Rumblins, nor the Moldens neither, ain't too much on official marrying. Because half the time, they want to go marrying somebody they ain't supposed to, their half-sister or their own stepdaddy or somebody like that. And they ain't too hot on official divorces neither. I'm a Rumblin' because my mama was a Rumblin' back when my dad had his goddamn harem, what he passed on to his drunk cousin Charlie before he went to jail. Joe Molden and 3 Rumblin' gals, if he'd have married them, I guess Francine, Lulu, and me would all be Moldens, which, like I told you, is the same damn thing. And Charlie kept them women around till they all run off and left him with Joe Molden's kids. I might have turned into a mean drunk, too, if that had happened to me. But you know how you become a Rumblin' Shoat? I finally figured it out." "What?" I said, and this is Shoat talking back to his father. "You fuck one of them long enough till the name kind of slides on over to you?" "Yeah," Buck laughed, "and that's one way. But the other way is just to hang out with them long enough, like Ainsley. That's all. I mean, I just can't believe all them niggers we got out there now managed to get sober enough to make it down to the county courthouse and do the right thing. Oh, maybe the first few did, but forms and filling out things ain't the Rumblin' style. If all of them niggers can be Rumblins, I don't see why yours out there can't be one too. You look, I'll make a bet with you now. In 5 or 10 years, if there are any Rumblins left at all, they're going to be Chinks and Spics and Mexicans and Puerto Ricans and faggots and lesbian mamas. We had 3 of them, I know, even before the niggers come in. And I don't know what all of them Rumblins, every blessed one." "When I was a kid," Buck told me, "I had a lot of things backwards, Shoat. Just like you, I guess, I didn't know the damnedest stuff. I mean, like my granddaddy Charlie. You know, you and me, we come from a heavy-drinking family. And people would always be offering Charlie a drink, not my Uncle Charlie, my granddaddy Charlie. And he would say, 'No, I don't drink. It's not good for me. I'm an alcoholic.' 'Charlie, have a drink.' 'No, I don't drink. It's not good for me.' 'Why?' 'I'm an alcoholic.' 'Want a drink, Charlie?' 'No, I'm an alcoholic. I can't.' I heard him say that 100 times when I was a kid, 8, 9, 10. When we'd be over at Mamie and Jody's, my granddaddy was the only one in the family who didn't drink. But at the same time, see, my Uncle Charlie, Granddaddy Charlie's stepson, what mostly raised me with Lulu and Calvin and Francine, Well, I never did see that man after 4 o'clock in the afternoon, where he wasn't 3 sheets to the wind. Every night, Charlie put a beer on the floor by the bed, and before he got up every morning, he'd open it up and drink it warm so he could get up. For about a year, he had a woman with him. I don't even remember her name, but she was almost as big a drunk as he was. When they got to fighting, she would call him an old alcoholic, and he'd fall down and say, "What you mean?" Lying there on the damn floor, his pants getting darker and darker because he's peeing on himself. "I ain't no alcoholic." And I thought, see, he was just correcting her. By the time I was 11 or 12, I thought an alcoholic was somebody like my granddaddy who didn't drink, and people like my Uncle Charlie who got fallen down shit-faced every day of the week were just ordinary people. But I had a whole lot ass backwards, Choke. I thought everybody in every family, see, was getting drunk all the time and beating on each other and yelling and screaming and calling the police on each other and reporting each other to the Social Security office when someone was working when they were supposed to be on welfare, because that was what all the family I had and most of the families I know. And there I was in the middle of all them crazy drunken men and women thinking alcoholics were people who didn't drink like my granddaddy. I was 3-4 years older than you before one night somebody in Gaviner's bar finally straightened me out and told me how it really was. I called 5 guys at the bar counter, the bartender, and an actor in a movie on the TV we was watching, all kinds of crazy liars, while the fellas laughed at me and tried to tell me how it really was. And don't you know, I still sat there and argued with them for an hour and a half. Till finally it began to dawn on me, maybe they was right. Meanwhile, in my family, all my cousins is beating on each other and getting drunk and fucking each other, the girls in the day, the girls and the boys at night, and calling the cops on each other and marrying each other and leaving each other and divorcing each other and killing each other and stealing from each other and having each other's babies. Now, in my family, we all talked about sex like everybody else, like everybody was only supposed to be screwing one person at a time, but that's not what we did. Seemed like we did, but everybody was screwing as many people as they could get away with, and if on Friday night you took serious what people said about your mind, and don't let me catch you looking at him or her or whatever, by Monday morning you'd be crazy. But the fact is, Shote, some of it was fun. I mean, lots of it was really good times, only every couple of days it would break out into a fight, or every week or so you'd have Joe with a bloody head or Lucy screeching with a black eye and the cops walking around looking bored again. Now me, I just figured, why can't we have the fun part and leave the yelling and screaming and beating on each other and all that other shit alone? It just means being a little nice, and when somebody's hurting, you don't laugh at them and kick them because they're down. You try to help them instead. It just means thinking about what the other person maybe wants some, and if it can fit into what you want somehow, I mean, acting like Mamie and Jody instead of acting like Parker and Charlie. You know how your mama and everybody thinks I'm a fool, like they're always calling you Aunt me Shote? But I think about things sometimes, and most of the time now, I think, being stupid is just thinking different from how people always think on television. See, on television, somebody always wants to get in trouble, otherwise they ain't got no show. Now, your mama didn't have the same kind of life I did. It was a lot more, normal, I guess. She had these 2 little sisters. She was the oldest, and her mama with her kids, God, them things hurt that woman till she died of them. Your mama took care of those 2 little girls, too, but she didn't live nowhere near Turretsville. They came from a whole other damn state, Kansas. Your mama was smart, too. She went to a community college for 6 months and took a secretary course once and could type on a typewriter. At least she used to be able to. I bet if she wanted, she could learn about Dr. Roddy's computer. It don't look to me like nothing but a big old typewriter anyway. I don't know, Shote. Maybe it was different with your mama. I mean, like how she was raised. I guess for a woman, they're always afraid of that time when a dick fits right into a pussy, it's going to have a price on it. But for the first couple of years there, my dick sure fit in hers.